What is up, beautiful readers? It's Sky, and we're here with the mid-year book Freakout tag. Hey everyone, how are you doing? I actually am really excited about filming this video with you all today. If you don't know what the mid-year book Freakout tag is, it's basically a list of 10 questions where you kind of recap your reading for the year in the middle of the year. And I wanted to wait until June was all the way over so I could really give a synopsis, or I guess a recap of my entire 2022. So far, I have finished a book in the first couple of days of July, so that's going to be included in here. But for the most part, everything that I am recapping in this video will have been read the first 6 months of the year. So before we get into the questions, I kind of wanted to go over my stats, and I use Storygraph. So I use Goodreads because I get a lot of book recommendations from Goodreads, and I just have used it for so many years, and I have friends on there, so it's kind of like a nostalgic feeling. But Storygraph I really love because of the statistical aspect, and it gives you some really cool insights into the books that you read. So as of right now, I have read 27 books this year, which is okay. With the job that I have a very demanding job. So I basically am reading when I'm not working or doing other things. So I feel like that's really good. My goal for the year is 52 books. And for me, I break that down into like a book a week at minimum. And so I'm right on track for that. I at least read 1 to 2 books a week if I can. So I'm right on track. So I'm happy with that for sure. So the total amount of pages read is 9,974, and I'll have the graphs on the screen here so you can look at it with me. It looks like my highest mood is lighthearted, and then we have emotional, mysterious, inspiring, informative, and hopeful. Those are my first 6 moods. In terms of pace, I normally read medium-paced books. So that would probably be anywhere between 300 to 500 books. Slower pace are going to be those thick mamas. I haven't read too many of those, but I have a lot of them for the month of July. And then you can see here page number. What I'm really, really proud of myself on is my nonfiction fiction breakup. So I try to read at least technically 2 nonfiction books a month, a Christian nonfiction and just like a regular nonfiction. And so far I have accomplished that for the most part. So you can see here 81% of the books I read are fiction, and then 19% are nonfiction. I'm gonna try to keep that at 20% for the entire year as much as I can, because I just wanna have a good balance of that nonfiction reading. It makes me feel good. So I want to keep that up. And then here is my breakdown of genre. Romance is my highest with 15, contemporary 11, young adult 8, fantasy 4. So that's interesting. And it's not like, I'm just wondering what they categorize as romance, because I read like Christian fiction and stuff, so maybe that's being categorized into the romance category. So I find that interesting. And format, digital and print. I don't really use audiobooks ever really. I just like to hold a book, and I just find myself like my mind wanders off when I listen to an audiobook. So they're not the format for me. I have used it before, and I think it was for some of the books I used it for was really good, but yeah, that's that. And then finally, we will get into my star ratings. My average rating is 3.97, which I actually think is a little high, which I'm happy with this. So I've read 10 5-star reads so far this year. Out of 27, that's not bad. 6 4-star and 5 3-star. So I'm happy with this. I don't like to give out a lot of 5 stars, but I have read a lot of good 5-star books, and I believe a lot of those would be my nonfiction reads. I've just read some really good nonfiction books this year, so I'm happy with that. I think that's really great. So if you're interested in signing up for a Storygraph, this is absolutely free. I will link this website's link. It's also an app. I just log it. I log my reading at the same time as I do my Goodreads on the app. There is a pro subscription that you can buy. I don't have that. I just use the free one. It gives me the basic statistics. You can also set reading goals, page goals, hour reading goals. So it's really, really great. I recommend Storygraph. So now we're going to move into the actual tag with the 10 questions. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into the mid-year book Freakout tag. I'm really excited to discuss some of these books with you, so let's go ahead and get into it. The first question of the tag is, what is your favorite book of the year so far? And I had a hard time with this. Nonfiction, I would say my favorite book so far has been In Order to Live by Yeonam Park. And I'll link the books here if I don't have them. I don't own this one yet, unfortunately. I rented this from my local library, but it was so good. This is a true story. It follows Yeonmi and her family as they defected from North Korea. And it was not easy to read. It was just so eye-opening, the things that her and her family had to go through in North Korea, and some of them are still there. So I highly recommend this book. It really made me grateful to live in America. And I don't like to rate, nonfiction books really, but this is a really good book. So I'd highly recommend it. Fiction, honestly, I don't have a favorite yet. I've read really good books, but I don't really have one that I would say is my absolute favorite one that I just cannot stop thinking about, unfortunately, yet. I've read some good ones and I'll talk about them later, but nothing's really been an all-time favorite yet, like In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. So I'm still on the lookout for a favorite book of the year. So we have time. We have 6 months, so there's time. I'm not worried about it. If I keep looking down, it's because I have my notebook, so that's why I'm looking up and down. The second question is best sequel so far. I don't have one. As you can see, I've read a couple of series, and I'm in the middle of a few, but nothing's really grabbed me. I finished the Summer I Turned Pretty series. I'm in the Addicted series right now. I just haven't really found something that's been my favorite sequel. So that's that. Question 3 is new release you have not read yet. And that is going to go to House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I purchased this on release date because I actually did reread the first book, House of Earth and Blood, this year. I reread it in preparation for this one, this thick book here. And it was great. It was just as good as I remember it being, the first one. It's the second time I've read it. I read it the first time when it came out a couple years ago, I think in 2020. And so I purchased this on release date, and I haven't picked it up. And the reason why I think I haven't is because I've watched a lot of videos, and there's such a, it's either or with this, there's no middle. And people say the last line is you're either gonna love this book or hate it because of the last line. And that makes me very nervous, to read all of these pages and then get to the last line and have it be so jarring. I'm nervous. So this is a new release I haven't yet read, but I definitely will this book will be read before the end of the year, without a doubt. So yeah. Question 4 is, do you have any anticipated releases for the remainder of the year? And I do. So first I have a graphic novel series. So this is Lore Olympus. This was a webtoon comic, and it is a retelling of Hades and Persephone, and it is stunning. If you didn't know, I really like Greek mythology. I have quite a few books on Greek mythology and Greek mythology retellings. It's just something that I really like. So when I saw this, I was like, I have to get it. And actually this week, the second volume of this comes out, and then October volume 3 comes out. So I'm really looking forward to picking these up. I think they're stunning. I want the collection. That's that. Then I believe that this releases in August. If I'm wrong, I will put the date up. But this book is called Prince of Song and Sea, and this is a Disney Prince novel. I have read most of the Twisted Tale novels that Disney Press releases, which are basically like a unique take on the classic Disney stories. They've pretty much gone through almost every story except a few of them. And they are starting a new series that gives you the perspective of the prince. And the first one in that series is Little Mermaid. So we have a book that is fully Prince Eric's point of view. And look at this cover, guys. I'm so excited for this. I am just, the Twisted Tales, like, they're hit or miss. I don't really read them to like get life-changing books. I just read them because I like Disney, really. And so I am very, very, very excited for these. And I don't know, I hope that they're really good. Prince Eric is just chef's kiss, and I'm really looking forward to it. The last book I'm looking forward to is The Final Gambit, which is the third book in the Inheritance Game series. I have not started the series yet, but I am this month, and I've just heard really good things. I think I'm gonna love it, so I'm gonna try and read the first 2 books in the series before the third one comes out next month. So that is on here. Question 5 is biggest disappointments of the year, and I have 4. So we're gonna start with The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This book was just not for me, and that's okay. A lot of people really love this book. I did not. The Raylo thing didn't bother me as much, like the Raylo fan fiction, that this is basically written as Raylo fanfic. What bothered me, so being as I used to be a teacher, I do not like student-teacher romances. I don't like age gap too much, even though this isn't really like that big of an age gap. It's just like, I don't know. I just have a hard time with student-teacher. I don't like to read it. I didn't like it in Pretty Little Liars. It's not my trope, I guess you could say. And I just found this, it wasn't for me. That's all I can say. It was not for me. I did not like how they came to be with her, like, kissing him without his permission. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I don't think I'm going to read any more Ali Hazelwood. That's all I got. It just wasn't for me. And that's okay. So disappointment would be this, because so many people hype this up and I don't get it. Next, I have 2 thrillers that I got from Book of the Month, and they are The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley and The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. So I don't read mystery thrillers ever, and what I appreciate about Book of the Month is it really challenges you to step outside of your comfort zone. I definitely believe I will read thrillers again in the future, but for these ones, they just did not, like, my expectation when you read a thriller is that you're so engrossed in the story that you don't want to put the book down, and when you do put it down, it's all you're thinking about because you want to know what's going to happen. You're trying to figure out answers to questions and all this stuff. And these just didn't give that. They were boring. They were slow. This one in particular wasn't even really a thriller. It was more of like I don't even know what I would call this. Like, I just didn't like it for the fact that, you know, the main character was getting revenge on men because a man was mean to her. And so it was like justifying stealing, and I don't know, like, it sounds weird, but these were not for me. And so unfortunately, like, this was really hyped up because I think she has the guest list, Lucy Foley, but I haven't read that. And so I might pick that one up, but because out of the 2, everyone says the guest list is better. So yeah, these mystery thrillers have been so disappointing. The first ones I've read, and I did not like. I gave this book like 2 stars, and this one I gave 3. And for the setting to be in Paris, and you're only like in an apartment building for most of it, I just feel like that's, I don't know, that's kind of like, it sucks because you're just like, I didn't even feel like you were in Paris really, you know? So yeah, these mystery thrillers, disappointing. Then it's so funny because I really like Book of the Month because it forces me to read things I typically wouldn't pick up, but basically all the books that I've selected so far, except Kaiki, I have not liked. And this, I think I gave 2 stars as well. It's stunning, and the concept was there, but the execution was not. So this is Darling Girl, and it was supposed to be kind of like a dark retelling of Peter Pan, but it was just not that at all. It was very weird. The way that they handled Peter Pan was weird. I did not enjoy this at all, and I think that this was mismarketed because it's not fantasy, it's more magical realism, and the way that they just threw plot points at you, and yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess. I would not recommend this book at all. So yeah. Question 6. I'm really excited for question 6 because it's your biggest surprises of the year. First, I'm going to talk about Orange by Ichigo Takano. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but this is a manga on a group of friends, and I didn't know what to expect when I got into this. A lot of people really love it, and because of that, I was like, I'm just gonna try it, you know? But this is like a found family. If I could give a synopsis, it would be like a group of friends meet in high school, right? And at the beginning of this manga, the main character, she gets a letter from herself in the future to get her to save her friend from dying. And so then you follow that, her reading her notes from herself in the future in order to prevent that from happening. And it was just so sweet and endearing and real and so good. And there's 2 volumes of this manga, as well as like a little prequel novel or novella, whatever. So I want the whole series for sure. I'm definitely going to be reading volume 2 later in the year. I read this in like February, I want to say. So surprised by this. Absolutely love it, and we'll be rereading it multiple times. Then the second book that was so surprising is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. Shook. You guys, like when you look at the cover, when you read the back, like I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't think that I would relate to the main character as much as I did, fall in love with the characters as much as I did, and cry. Like, this is the one book this year that really had me sobbing by the end, and I could not believe it. It was just so good. And I want you to read it. All I can say is there's this girl who her parents end up getting a divorce, and you know, there's like this magical realism element where she, because of her parents' marriage falling apart, she ends up, you know, getting rid of all of her romance novels and like putting them in this like little library in her local neighborhood. And so when she does that, she ends up meeting this person, and she ends up getting this magical power where when she sees 2 people who are in love kiss for the first time, she can see their whole relationship from beginning to end. Okay? And so as someone who now hates love, of course, she's not happy about this power, and it just, oh my God, it's so good. And the end, Nicola, I did not expect the end to go that way, and it broke my heart and put it back together, and I just read the book. That's all I gotta say. Question 7 is favorite new author, and I'm gonna have to go with T.I. Lowe. I read Under the Magnolias, I think 2 months ago. She is a Christian fiction author, and I hadn't read anything by her previously, of course, and this was just great. So good, coming of age story set in the 80s. I'm in the middle of reading Where the Crawdads Sing right now, and though it's not the same, it has those same vibes of a young girl having to step into a very mature adult role. She has a family of her brothers and sisters she needs to take care of. So it's very similar in that regard to Where the Crawdads Sing. But it's such a good book. And I really loved the way that T.I. Lowe writes. And I'm really looking forward to picking up her backlist, as well as I will be reading anything else that she releases moving forward. And this cover, stunning. Yeah, so T.I. Lowe for my new favorite author. Newest fictional crush. I don't have one. I don't think I've really acquired a new fictional crush in a long time. I have my like tried and trues. I have Ethan Waite from Beautiful Creatures, and I have Tobias, of course, from Divergent, and Cricket Bell from Lola and the Boy Next Door. Like, those are ones that I have from my like teenager days. But as an adult, like, I just haven't really fell in love with a fictional character like I did when I was a teenager. So I'm still on the lookout. I'm still on the lookout for a fictional crush, and I am welcome to one as an adult. But my tried and trues from back in the day, I love them, you know, and it's just hard to replace them. So yeah. Favorite new character. So this, I actually do have one, and I'm bringing up Instructions for Dancing again. X. He is the main love interest in this book, and he was just fantastic. Like, his outlook on life, the way that he treated, I don't even remember her name. Like, let me look it up. Okay, her name's Evie. The way that he treated Evie and just had her not be scared to fall in love and open her heart. It just was so cute. And like him dealing with the grief, like I think he's a great character. I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil, but like my heart, I love X. Great character. Read this book. I'm gonna say it again. Read the book and you'll see why X is just, he's fantastic. 10 books that made you cry. Instructions for Dancing. It's coming up again. Read the book. I'm not gonna explain anymore. I've talked about this book enough in this video, but amazing. Sobbed. Moving on. The second book that has made me cry this year is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. This is the first Colleen Hoover book that I have read. I have no interest in reading any more of hers for some reason. And the main reason why I feel that way is because this one, I have been told, is not romance heavy, and it is a little bit different to her other novels like It Ends With Us and All Your Perfects and all that stuff. I'm not there for the drama. Like, there's some like really heavy, like dramatic elements to her other books that I just don't want to read. But this one was just like real. You know, it's about this girl who just gets out of prison, and she has a 5-year-old daughter that she hasn't met yet. So it's basically following her journey and trying to meet her daughter for the first time and, you know, get back in her life, and just to see how her past life has connected to her present life, and her love interest, which I think is Ledger, right? Yep, Ledger, Kenna and Ledger, remember? So I cried. And the main reason why I cried is because when you have lost someone, and I think I just really appreciate when a story handles grief very well, because you feel connected to others who have felt that heartache, you know? And as someone who has lost someone, the grief that McKenna felt towards the actions and the experiences of her past life just hit me so much. And, you know, this cover, stunning. I tabbed quite a few things, and I really liked this book. It made me cry. I don't know if I want to pick up another Colleen Hoover. Like, I'm scared because I just have no interest. Like, this one was perfect for me, and I will reread this, you know, but the other ones, I don't know. The last question is the book that made you the happiest, and I am actually loaning this out to a friend right now, but that would be Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. I read this book when it released a couple years ago, and I reread it because the Netflix movie came out a couple weeks ago. And this book is just the perfect summer read. It is endearing, sweet. It is lighthearted, but there's so much depth to it as well. And it just really, and if you've been to Italy, it just feels warm. That's the best way I could describe it. And it made me just so happy to read, and I enjoy reading that book every time that I do, and I just recommend it to everybody. I think it's just a great summer read, feel-good read, coming-of-age story, and I love it. Makes me very happy. Now, with that being said, the Netflix movie is absolute garbage, and I cannot believe the author backs this movie. It is terrible. It doesn't follow the book in any sense. I could write a dissertation on how terrible this movie is, and I didn't even finish it. I literally got through like 20 minutes and I turned it off. I was appalled at the negligence of the text in the movie, and I am not going to be over it for a while. So yes. All right, y'all, we made it. We're here. It is the end of my mid-year book freakout tag. I absolutely loved this video and talking about my reading for the year, and it's been great. In the comment section, I want two things. I want you to tell me the best book you read this year and a book you would recommend for me to read. I would love to know your favorite book of the year and then a book that you would recommend me to read in the next 6 months. So that's what I got for you. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video and hanging out with me for a little bit. And you know, if you want to stick around, you can like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And you know, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much again, and have a great morning, night, or evening. Bye.